This is DIY Cyber Guy with David W. Schrofer. Every week, he will show you how cybersecurity can be as easy as locking up your house at night. Now, here is your host, David W. Schrofer.
Welcome back, everybody, to DIY Cyber Guy. This is episode 69, Post-Holiday Retail Fraud Roundup, and how to stop fraud in 2025. Now, this affects everybody that buys or sells anything online. This is, broadly speaking, if you sell anything online, whether it's Etsy or you're a SaaS or a PaaS platform, regardless, this touches everybody because fraud online touches everybody. And here's the summary. Fraud in the last holiday season, in 2024 holiday season, was incredibly high. We're almost running out of adjectives to describe how bad it was because the previous year was worse than anything anybody could imagine, and 2024 completely eclipsed it. So in the days leading up to Black Friday, retail scams skyrocketed to 692% more than the previous period, which is incredible. And that particular figure was put together by a company called Darktrace. So before I read a little bit from that report, this is a hair on fire 3 out of 5, which is higher than I typically do for something that's more informational, because this isn't informational. This isn't just informational, I should say. This is, fraud happens during the holidays. It happens every day of the year. And if you're buying or selling things online, you need to be on top of this in a way that can protect your business and certainly protect your own assets like your credit card numbers and your bank account numbers, so you don't get ripped off, you don't lose your money, and you don't lose sales because of these types of things. So let's jump into what Darktrace had to say. So the analysis from Darktrace's threat intelligence team, using data from across the Darktrace customer fleet, which is literally thousands of customers all around the world, shows that leading up to Black Friday, meaning the 25th to the 29th of November 2024, attempted Christmas-themed phishing attacks slipped by 327%, which is incredible. Then Black Friday-themed phishing attacks jumped, the figure I gave you earlier, 692% compared to the beginning of November, which was November 4th to November 9th. So bad actors were seeking to take advantage of consumers and holiday brands during the holiday shopping season online. The United States retail sector, according to Darktrace, faced an especially aggressive wave of cyber threats this year, with phishing attacks mimicking major holiday brands including Walmart, Target, Best Buy, with those attacks increasing by more than 2,000% for the peak holiday period. These are unprecedented numbers. It's not like we were starting from a low baseline before. These are huge increases on top of a huge amount of fraud that was already existing on the internet. And the source of this article, by the way, is right in my show notes. Just go to DIYCyberGuy.com and search for episode 69 to find the link. So bottom line, so fraud has been a reality since the dawn of the internet. We all know that. But the massive flood of fakes recently in the last year, and I'm talking about fake websites, fake information, fake products, fake identity, it's all been fueled by artificial intelligence, or predominantly fueled, at least in the last year, by artificial intelligence, meaning that the threat actors, the bad guys online, are learning to use AI to become more efficient at their fraudulent activities, just like we're all trying to use AI to be more efficient at our professional activities or academic activities or whatever the case may be. So one of the technology candidates to solve all of these different problems, both in the virtual world and the actual world, is blockchain. Now, we've talked about blockchain on the show many, many times before. As you all know, it was created originally to simply be a governing body for a ledger, credits and debits on an electronic spreadsheet, for loss of a better term. It was first used for Bitcoin. That was the first application of a blockchain that was used by anybody at all. It was designed, if you will, or publicized in an anonymous white paper with the famous name of Satoshi Nakamoto, which is not a real person. It's just the name that somebody actually wrote the white paper. We just don't know exactly who that was. And of course, it was designed for anonymity. Blockchain is designed for anonymity. So if you have your key, then you can manage your assets in the blockchain. And if you know nothing else about blockchain, just understand that if you have control of your key, to get access to a specific blockchain, then you have access to any assets that you may have on that blockchain. So, given the electronic nature of blockchain, it would be intuitive that it could be used for fraud such as identity theft or identity fraud or informational fraud. But what if it could be used for physical goods as well? Here with me to discuss this today is Noam Krasniansky. Noam is a successful entrepreneur, a winner of the popular TV show Shark Tank, and the founder of Composite, a blockchain-based fraud prevention program. Welcome, Noam.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. I'm very excited to be at your podcast.
Great to have you. Great to have you on the podcast. It really is, especially with my understanding of what Composite is. So let's just start from ground zero, and then we can get more into how blockchain can solve this problem of physical good or fraud with physical goods. What are the components necessary just to make blockchain a solution for fraud related to physical goods?
Well, I don't know if you know that counterfeiting is the biggest business in the world. It's almost at $2 trillion a year. Okay,
$2 trillion worldwide.
$1 trillion a year is bigger than drugs. Well, drugs are not really illegal drugs. I mean, they're not being alleged, right? Nobody really knows the numbers, but it is a huge business. And the problem is it affects everybody, and it affects prices for the end users. But more important, it affects the entrepreneurs or the businesses or the brands that create it and spend the money and are putting their life force to bring out products, which then somebody else copycats and sells to their customers thinking that they're buying the real thing. Sometimes people know the copies, right? And they have all these brands and they look like the brand, they feel like the brand, they feel the copies are so good, but they're buying it at a fraction of the price. So there is a huge industry that are doing a good job of copies, but there's nonetheless, there are a copy.
So if you're a consumer and you want to avoid getting fooled and buying a bag that was actually made by Armani and all the quality that entails, and I'm picking Armani at random. We could be talking about handbags, we could be talking about shoes or shirts or suits or whatever it is. Yeah. But so what are the basic components that can be used if blockchain is a component that can solve the physical good fraud problem? What are the other components that are necessary?
Well, in order to solve that problem, you have to have an infrastructure that allows first the brand owners or it could be an artist as well, or a creator, or even a scientist, right? They can be copied as well, where it allows them to how can I explain this here? Let's say this is a product that I made, right? I was in Shark Tank. This is the product that I had, which is bamboo. So I made this product, and the factory now can come and that I make it with, they're doing it under my rights. Like they make the product, they could do the same, steal my label, and then just sell it to my customers. They can perfectly do that. And it happens, right? It happens within the luxury industry or the car industry or whatever. So what the solution is with the blockchain, what we will do is we will allow now everybody can be part of it, right? That's really important. But we allow the brand owners or the creators to have their own node. And then what will happen is they will take their product within the structure of the blockchain, and they will put a tag. We call it a K-link, right? A composite link, which has all kinds of security measures, right?
Okay, and are we talking about a QR code? Are we talking about an NFC?
No. Look, I'll show you an example. I made collectibles, right? That's how it started. And if you notice, I investigated security printing for over 2 years. I could print a bill if I wanted to, but I'm not going to, right? So we have here holograms that are security. We have, when you touch it, something called intaglio. We have over security, we have cover security, and we have forensic security within the label, right? So the label itself, it will become uncopyable, but that will be attached in different forms depending on the product, will be attached to the product. And then, yes, we will have a QR code that goes there that will represent, in this case, an NFT. If you ever heard of NFTs before, that is a type of product that the blockchain has. Imagine it as a title of ownership, like a pink slip, right? So
Right.
now this product will become a unique product. It will be a product that has his like birth certificate, right? And then what will happen is the company now will sell it to the customer. The customer will own the product, and they will also transfer the ownership through the blockchain. And because the blockchain is transparent, everybody will know, or anybody that looks right will know, and you will know that is yours because it shows. If it's a leather bag, it might be lasered in, right? The security has to be secure there, that it cannot be removed. It will even have levels that we were discussing before, or RFID, or element of chips and stuff like that.
So it can use RFID and NFC chips.
100%, but it will be used in conjunction with other things together, right? So what will happen, but the important thing is that it will have a blockchain connection. So let's say in China, they say, "Ooh, we're going to copy this. It has a label. Let's take this label." They copy the label and they put it in 5,000 products, right? Now, this is the key point. In order to protect counterfeiting or identity and stuff like that, the customers themselves, now that they own this product, will also have be part of a membership.
A transfer on the ledger.
But not only that, they will have in their phone a program that they shows that they own the product from the company. The company will give them an app. And then what will happen is that when I click on it, or anybody clicks on it, will be able, and they have the app, they will be able to see that belongs to, let's say, me, Noam. I'm in Florida, and that's who owns it. But let's say somebody clicks and it shows on the system as somebody on Hong Kong, or maybe on Thailand, right? And he says, that's not possible. This product belongs to someone in Florida. At that moment, it pings where the fake is, it pings where location is, and it shows that there is a counterfeit. And this is the beauty of it. Everybody that buys a product, whenever they want to sell it or transfer it or anything, or somebody wants to buy it, they have to click on it to make sure that the person selling it is the actual owner.
And
so that makes
I assume that part of the effect there is that you can also see who the previous owner was, which presumably would be the company that manufactured it.
Exactly. It will show all the provenance. It will show all the provenance. And so the actual customer becomes the anti-counterfeiter. It becomes the inspector. So you don't need a large police force. You just need a following that actually wants not to buy a copy, and they don't care. Now, remember, if you think about luxury, people that have luxury is all about position. So if somebody will never buy a copy, that is, if anybody can tell that it is a copy, it will never do. So that also allows the companies to protect their investment, their product, and it also allows people to actually have the real goods.
Gotcha. So before we dive into some of the benefits of a system like this, let me just kind of recap that whole thing to make sure I understand, so my listeners can understand. Sure. So number one, a blockchain is created that has effectively the ownership of the company that makes it at day zero, and then maybe it's transferred to a wholesaler that's authorized, and then transferred to the person who actually buys it. So blockchain is being used to follow the ownership of a given item using the blockchain, which is exactly what it's designed for. Number two, a physical product will be able to be identified with that specific item in a blockchain with this tag. A tag that can be either imprinted via laser, imprinted via some other method, but it cannot be separated. The tag can't be separated from the physical goods. And in that tag can be a number of electronic mediums to get you out of the physical world and into the electronic world where the blockchain lives, of course. And that can be RFID, which for if you haven't listened to the episodes on that, for my listeners, RFID is simply a one-way radio, a passive transmitter. Think of Easy Pass for those of you who live in the Northeast or the West. It's passively transmitting a signal all the time that identifies you or identifies one thing, and that one identity can get you into a blockchain where you can identify what that one thing is. NFC is another technology. That's a two-way technology, like a shortwave radio. When you present your phone to pay for something at point of sale using mobile payments, that's the NFC chip operating inside your phone, or a QR code, which I think everybody's familiar with. You just hold your camera up to it, and now you're having an electronic experience. So in theory, if all of your high-end goods, from your laptops to your expensive clothes to your handbags, maybe motor vehicles, whatever you own that has value, you would be able to see all of the different ledgers in a blockchain environment that proves your ownership of all of those things across the board, and moreover proves that none of the things that you bought were fake and sold to you by somebody who wasn't the rightful custodian of it. Is that about right?
Yes, but let's look at it on exactly right. Two things. The label that you said is just one example. I'm not
Okay.
going to mention for security reasons. There's many different combinations. We take the printing of money that has all kinds of technology, and we take all technologies of security and we mishmash them depending on the case scenario of the product. That's number one. Number two, the whole blockchain doesn't do this. It's just the opportunity for a brand owner, from an artist, from anybody that's a creator, has products, or has an organization, even could be a public library, if for all at DMV, to
Yeah.
be able to have a node on the network that is a special node, is a verifying node, but is a type of node that will allow it to do that and work with the products, having control of it within the public network of the blockchain. Any organization can be transparent, and they can use transparency as a medium of trust, right?
Okay.
And of security, because it's on the blockchain, it's on this ledger, everybody can read it. It uses a public network. It has the networks of each individual, and we can onboard millions of different nodes. So we can have every company having their own node. They will be able to have their customers come, and they will be able to verify the product. Let me give you an example. Let's say your wife wants to buy a Louis Vuitton a bag or a wallet for you, goes into eBay, sees a seller, says very high seller, it's a secondhand wallet. Great, I'm going to buy it. She buys it. You get the wallet. It's a fake, right?
Yep.
There's no way of knowing. Now imagine if that wallet had a K-link, a security link in there, a mark on it, and it was sold originally to a person, right? Now what happens is the Louis Vuitton could have a secondary market making huge amounts of money, because they don't like getting into the secondary business, although it's a billions of dollars. And what will happen now is that if I am the owner of, let's say, the Louis Vuitton wallet here, right, and I want to sell it to someone else, they will use the network of Louis Vuitton in the secondary market, where they said, well, mine is real, and they click on it. And then the other person said, well, I like to buy it. They become sort of like a escrow company. They become a verifying node. They receive the good, they receive the money, they make sure that it's correct, and then they send it to the other person. Now, blockchain allows for every item that you put on it, or in this case as an NFT, to have a royalty. So the companies could have royalties on products that are resold again and again, 20%, let's say, 25, 15, whatever they decide. And now they can control their market, and they can have a captive membership audience that first of all are their own inspectors, make sure that there's no counterfeiting. And secondly, it allows for not only new goods, but the old goods to be recycled and process money. At the same time, each time something changes hands, it can go up in value, because you can tell the provenance 100%. The issue that everybody has, not only the luxury industry has this issue, where they make hundreds of billions of dollars. Let's say that a video came out of you doing something unseemly, right? And you say, that's not me. Somebody that wants to blackmail you took videos that you had in your own Instagram or YouTube or whatever. They took it out, and with AI, they put you doing something else. Thing, right?
Yep.
Oh, now, how will you protect yourself against identity theft in that way in the day of today? Well, we could have someone that has a node, or we could have the social media that only when you bring something out and your image comes, let's say here in the screen, it will have, or inside within the code, it has a K-link which says, this is me, this is, this was born in this day where I did it, and
Yep.
it's done. And only those images that have that, you can say are yours, and other images aren't. Does that make sense? So
It does.
applicable for voice, is applicable for video, is applicable for how you look, is applicable for contracts, is applicable for contracts. You can use it. I can think of anything. I probably haven't thought of millions of ideas. The idea is that
Sure.
it becomes a structure for creatives, for enterprising people that do things that either they want to change the world or they want to preserve the world, right? It could be a
Right.
library. It could be the DMV. It could be IDs. It could be anything.
So the thing that in this example, Louis Vuitton and Bob Smith, the guitarist who wrote a song and put it out on Spotify, they would basically have their own node that says these products that are attached to this node came from Louis Vuitton. This music that are attached to this other node came from Bob Smith, the guitarist, who's writing original music that people just seem to like. But he'd be able to show both Bob Smith and Louis Vuitton that they were the original creator of that work product, whatever that may be, and it just follows you a long time, whether you buy the music or effectively rent it, for loss of a better term, on Spotify or something else, or you actually purchase it.
Or no use Spotify at all, because he has been known now that Spotify.
100%. It's a terrible model for artists, and I
it's a terrible
don't want to
model
pretend
for
that it
artists.
is
The
anything
artists,
but that.
look, the creators, the artists, the painters, they always get the short end of the stick. They always,
Sure.
and you but basically have to die as a painter so your paintings go up on price,
Right,
right?
exactly.
Right.
Exactly.
And as
So
you
you can't make
say,
anymore.
you can get stolen your music. It's
Well,
just
they're using AI to create original works that sound very much like an artist. I think Kanye West, I think, was the first victim, if you can call it that, of this, where somebody said, just make a new song, make it sound like a Kanye West song, but make it completely original. AI can do that and has done that.
Yeah, but that's the thing. That's why they killed the one of the whistleblowers from AI, because he was saying that they are using content that is copyright, right? Your voice, an artist is copyright. There's intellectual property.
Exactly. And if you use that in your large
saying
language model,
they say that anything goes for AI, and that's not true. AI is stealing intellectual property.
100%.
So there's going to be a bit, there's in the future something is going to happen about that. But but what's important is how it affects somebody, a regular guy that has a company, or he's an accountant, or he, driving now in the car, maybe listening to this. It will affect every aspect of your life, right? In a way that you will be able to first authenticate the things that you're buying, to the point that, let's say somebody gets a phone and wants to sell the phone, and they only give him $100, he paid $1,000, right? But now the companies has a system where they can look at every part, right? Because it has a label like that, and every part has a price and supply chain and everything, and exactly the price of every part that can be used. Now you can say, okay, well, this is worth $700. At least give me 400. So things like that could happen, right? You could have like exchanges that creates the labels for artists, because artists will be too expensive maybe, or too much work, and then they are part of a network that will help artists, let's say, to have this, even if they don't have the money or the time or the resources or the technical expertise. So this is infrastructure. This is going to change the world, because it will allow real world transactions, real world Web2 companies or people to go into Web3, understanding with an easy, we call it onboard, to just move into it.
Right.
Like when sorry,
we're almost out of time. So before we dive, we unfortunately we don't have time in this interview to dive into Web3 and that layer as well, because that is a blockchain oriented, a service as well. So, so before we do that, let me just sort of again recap for the listeners, which is simply this: that if you have the ability to verify the custodial chain of anything back to the original manufacturer or even beyond the original manufacturer back to the original suppliers, you can authenticate a product as real. You can therefore calculate the value of that product, whether it's the value to you personally, whether or not you're willing to pay the price that somebody else is offering for that product, either on the resale market or on the new market. As long as multiple entities have a system that transfers that custodianship or transfer the ownership of a given product from person to person as they buy it and sell it, or maintains the ownership of, say, a copywritten piece of work, an NFT, a photo, a piece of music, or any other work of art. Doesn't necessarily have to be bought or sold, but to be consumed, like listening to a piece of music, that would have to be attributable back to the original artist that made it. And if it's not attributable, then it's not real, and it should be discarded as either fake or something that shouldn't be paid for or taken seriously.
But
Is that
yes,
it?
Sorry, it is correct. Now, in blockchain, you can put, when you create something and you put it out, you can put a royalty that comes to you automatically.
Sure.
So
Absolutely.
by doing that, artists, when they sell a piece of music, let's say as an NFT or as a part of the blockchain, like a product of the blockchain, just to make it simple, and the person consumes it or listens to it, he can get paid right away. If somebody else tries to resell that or give it to someone else, each transaction, they could actually get paid,
Right.
and can actually cut the middleman directly. Now, also the middleman could create a company within the blockchain and have the artists be part of it, and they could get a cut, and the artists could get a cut because they did
In
the
exchange for
investment.
the services that monitor and manage all these things. Sure.
Exactly.
Sure. But that would be a lot more both transparent, and it would be a lot more lucrative for artists because they wouldn't basically have all the profits go to Silicon Valley investors. Those profits would instead, without the middleman, go directly, or the lion's share of that would go directly to the artist, which is the intent, which would get
Depending
us
on the
all better
contract they
art.
have with the middleman, right?
Yeah.
Depending how they do it. But what's important, it will be more transparent, and it will allow for them to have better negotiation skills. The important thing is that this blockchain is going to create the new trillionaires. It will create the new billionaires, the new millionaires. It will be the next wave. It's nothing is going to stop Web3. The problem is nobody understands what Web3 is. And we all living in a world where everybody's on their phone anyway, right?
Yeah.
And you still have to go to work and do your whatever labor, which it's important,
Sure.
is the basis of society. But this blockchain composite itself will allow for everybody to be part of it, and to be able to, if you come in at the beginning or in the middle or at the end, does not matter. And you are anybody can have a node. You don't have to have $100,000 computer to do it. Anybody will be able to have a node, and the idea is that they will be able to use the tokens or the coins or whatever within to transact in the decentralized economy, which is
Which is the whole idea.
wanted in the first place. So that is
No,
the
I could talk to you about this topic all day long, but I'm afraid we are out of time. So let me wrap up with this. Where can people find out more about what you do?
Well, they can follow me on LinkedIn if you're a businessman. You can follow me in X if you are a conspiracy theorist, and you can follow me in Instagram if you want to see more about it. But you can reach me, Noam at Composite, and that's with a K, Composite. I think it's on your links.
It is.
.org. Definitely go to composite.org with a K, and look at what we're doing. If you want to be a developer in this, we're looking for developers. We're working on the team. If you want to be someone that wants to have a node, contact us, follow us, because that way you'll be one of the first ones. If you have anything to do with the administration, where Donald Trump said that anybody that invests in blockchain companies in the US will pay no capital gain taxes. I would love to talk to them, because I would like to have our foundation in the US instead of abroad.
Okay.
In any way, this you will start hearing more and more about composite, and there's nothing better than to be at the beginning, at the onset of something that is great.
Absolutely. Okay, so as Noah mentioned, all of those links will be available on DIY Cyber Guy, including the link to composite.org, KOMPOSITE.org, as well as Noam's personal LinkedIn profile, his Twitter profile, and some articles as well. Just go to DIYCyberguy.com and search for episode 69 to find all of these links, as well as the show notes and a biography of Noam himself. So Noam, it's been great having you on the podcast. I really appreciate it. I'd love to have you back in the future.
Let's do it again, David. Thank you.
Very good. Thank you. That's all the time we have today. Remember, for the show notes from this episode, or to listen to any of our past episodes, or to get a free chapter from my book, Digital Habits, just go to DIYCyberguy.com. And if you want to buy my book, just go to Amazon.com or BarnesandNoble.com and search the keywords Digital Habits 5 Simple Tips. If you have questions or an idea for the show, just email me at questions@DIYCyberguy.com. And if this show helps you stay safe online, please click the share button and send it to everyone you think we can help. Thanks for listening.
Thank you for listening to DIY Cyber Guy. The information, opinions, and recommendations presented in this broadcast are for general information only, and we have not knowingly divulged any information that would conflict with any of our non-disclosure or confidentiality agreements. Enjoy the internet safely.